Well, good morning and welcome to today's webinar featuring Lancaster ISD from the great state of Texas. My name is Andy Schaefer, president of Defined, and it is my pleasure to be hosting today's webinar, How Lancaster ISD is Building Career Readiness Across the Student Journey. I'm joined today by my colleague, Beth Daverin, who leads the Defined Partner Experience efforts, not only with Lancaster ISD, but with many other great school districts in Texas and across the country. For those of you who may be new to Defined, we are passionate about connecting classrooms to careers through deeper learning and helping students apply their learning to real world situations. Whether they are learning a geometry peak in seventh grade or exploring career pathways, we have students step into authentic career roles to solve problems and publish their work. Our goal is to have students experience as many career situations as possible. So when they walk across the stage with their diploma, they're also leaving high school with a really good idea of what they want to do next, whether that be the workforce, the military, or higher education. So just a few housekeeping items before we get started today. I invite everyone to utilize the chat for any questions you have. We will monitor it and do our best to get to all of them. Also wanted to make note that everyone in attendance will receive a copy of today's webinar, and everyone in attendance will also have the opportunity to try out the defined resources that will be featured today. So a little bit about our agenda you can see on the right. And really before I introduce our guest speaker today, I just wanted to share a little bit more about some of the topics you will hear about happening in Lancaster ISD today. Building a connected CCMR strategy across the district, aligning career-connected learning with CTE and STEM initiatives, helping students develop workforce-ready skills, supporting student portfolios and authentic readiness evidence, and expanding implementation beyond high school into middle school and earlier. Today, we will discuss how do districts move beyond career awareness and create meaningful college, career, and military readiness experiences that truly prepare students for what comes next. I am delighted to introduce our guest speaker who will help us answer that question today. LaTasha Murry is the Executive Director of College, Career, and Military Readiness and Enrichment for Lancaster ISD. She is a big part of Lancaster ISD efforts to evolve its work from STEM-focused project-based learning into a broader readiness strategy designed to help students build workforce skills, meaningful portfolio artifacts, and stronger post-secondary pathways. She's an educational leader, a consultant, an advisor, a mathematician, and researcher, to name just a few of the areas she contributes to at Lancaster ISD and to the world of education. Welcome, LaTasha. We are so excited to have you here with us today.
Good morning, and thank you, Andy. Thank you so much for the Defined team for allowing me to speak and share our journey on today in Lancaster ISD. It's a pleasure to be here, and thank you for all of you who have joined to hear our story, but to also just talk a little bit more about college, career, military readiness. And so, I'll just start off with just speaking about the focus that has happened as it relates to CCMR, college career military readiness. I think back in the day, you guys may remember us having a focus on vocational ed, right? Some years ago, probably 80s, 90s era. And then there was a strong focus and push for college, right? Getting students to college and getting them to be able to succeed in college, and then that academic piece. And then here recently, probably in the last decade or so, there's been an intense focus, not only just college, but bringing back vocational ed, but now calling it career and technical education. And so even in a recent report with the federal government, they speak on CTE being a key element of the nation's workforce development system, providing students with both academic and technical skills to succeed in further education and future careers. They also mentioned that federal investments in CTE aim to increase the number of individuals with recognized post-secondary credentials, including industry-recognized credentials, in order to reduce unemployment, improve individual earnings, and benefit the nation's economy. So you have this hyper focus on CCMR and then career and tech ed. STEM has been in the forefront of education over the last decade. We're adding career exploration, workforce readiness. You have all of these components. And if we're not intentional, they can happen in silos. And that's definitely what we thought about here in Lancaster ISD, is how can we bridge all of these things together so that it is a seamless implementation and development for our students, and not just something else really making it a challenge for our educators. And so if you go to the next slide, Andy, I'll talk a little bit about the journey. And I have had the pleasure, and it has been a distinct pleasure and honor to be in Lancaster ISD since the beginning of our journey with the STEM work. And that was back in 2012 when we received, at that time, the largest Texas Instruments Education Foundation education grant for a district to take what was happening in standalone academies or in schools within a school on STEM implementation, right? Take it to scale. And so we applied for that grant and we were awarded $4.6 million to scale the STEM work. And again, it's been a pleasure being in the journey and on the journey since that time. And so that's kind of how we began, even with our partnership with Define, because a huge focus on STEM is problem or project based learning, right? Problem or project based learning lends itself to the development of these skills that we're going to talk about here in just a moment. And so, given Define's work with uh, Buck Institute of Education at the time, leading researcher and trainer on PBL implementation. We then partnered with Define, and at that time it was Define STEM. We partnered with Define STEM for the PBLs, the projects, and the implementation for our teachers and students. So that's kind of where we started, and we talked about the evolution of, focus on education and vocation ed coming together, calling it career and technical education. And so where we are now, even within our STEM implementation, we've evolved simultaneously with that evolution, and we are now STEAM in Lancaster. While we've always had that STEM for all vision and mission, we are STEAM for all now. And I would like to also just recommend, not recommend, but communicate and share that our STEAM acronym is not just science, technology, engineering, arts, and mathematics, but it's also service, teaching, entrepreneurship, athletics, and manufacturing. And we
Wow.
did that just to say, no matter where you sit in our organization, we want everyone to understand that they are part of this work. And that's the STEAM for all vision and mission. And so, because of that, we also have worked on and continuously work on STEM fluency skills, right? But we recognize that the STEM fluency skills are 21st head skills, or career readiness skills, or workforce readiness skills, or future readiness skills. If you look up any of those, and there are probably other titles given to these skills, they're the same skill set, right? Communication, collaboration, critical thinking, problem solving, creativity, just to name a few. And so our work with PBLs, as I mentioned before, seamlessly helps us develop those skills. But then we took it a little bit further and said, okay, how can we again make sure that we're not working in silos? How can we connect all this? How can it be seamlessly aligned? And so we began to make sure that our STEAM initiatives connected to our career and technical education programming and instruction. Okay. What it looks like now is intentional professional learning for CT and CCMR teachers. We were already training core education teachers, right, in PBLs. We added the teachers that didn't necessarily always get that training, a large majority of them being CTE and CCMR teachers. And then we called our good friends at Define for some customizable courses that we actually added as an advisory course. Again, thinking about all of our students and how we can reach all of our students in 9 through 12 take an advisory course. And so through these customizable courses with Define, with those PBLs in mind, and the future ready skills that we just kind of talked about, now we have a systemic, aligned effort to ensure that our students are being developed for both, again, academic and technical skills and career readiness skills. If you want to go to the next slide for me.
Absolutely. That is great.
All right. So through this connected strategy, then we're able to be aligned across classrooms and across campuses. Our students can see and monitor their own progress, which also supports their academic and career readiness. They start that authentic work and they're able to take that with them, not just from grade level to grade level, but even when they graduate, they're able to take their portfolios and show their authentic student work. And so the workforce skills, again, are embedded. And this year we implemented in grades 9 through 12. Next year we will be adding grades 7 and 8. And with respect to that early awareness, we already had a kind of a pre-K through 12 strategy on exposing our students to these things, but the integration of the customizable defined courses that we have in 7 and 8 will add to the experience, right? Of getting them to engage and explore CCMR and start their portfolios early. So that is a brief journey walkthrough of Lancaster ISD. I again thank you for the opportunity to share, and I am happy to answer any questions or to speak a little bit more in detail of anything I just mentioned. Andy, thank you.
That sounds great, LaTasha. First of all, thank you so much. Thank you for your leadership. Obviously a great story, a great journey in Lancaster ISD, and really, just I'll describe it as ahead of the curve. Just tremendous work. We have certainly enjoyed our time together, and all the work that we've done together. Our team really has enjoyed putting together some of these custom courses, not only to benefit Lancaster ISD, but also seeing how is going to be benefiting others out there as well, even if it's just to give them great ideas. Before I turn things over to Beth to actually give everyone a visual of what some of this looks like in practice, I did have one quick question for you, LaTasha, and we have a whole bunch of others. But just to ask you, how often are students interacting with the content that you were talking about in the custom courses?
So our students take an advisory class every single day. And so every single day they are in the system. They are um, either researching or completing and uploading student work or asking, answering questions. They have collaborative projects they work on together. So that they're in there daily.
That's fantastic. So, and also, I'm going to welcome you, LaTasha. As now, I'm going to stop my sharing. We'll come back to this. Turn things over to Beth. But as you know, Beth is sharing some of the unique features to Lancaster ISD. We'd also feel free to jump in. If any commentary you have, anything that you really wanted to point out and say that something that resonated with you, we'd love to have that as well. But so, Beth, I'm going to welcome you to share your screen at this time.
Thank you, Andy. And thank you, LaTasha, for sharing about your journey. And I'm going to pick up where she left off. And, when she did come to us and talk to us about their past experience and how they wanted to build these courses, we went into Defined with her. And I went into our careers course within here. And just to give you a snapshot of all of the resources we have, a career assessment. Students can take mock interviews and apply for jobs. We can look at middle school career courses, high school career courses, financial literacy, post-secondary planning, future ready skills, and internships. So we took a lot of time to work with LaTasha to choose what was appropriate for her grade levels. And just to give you a snapshot then of what we looked at a little closer within here, is you'll see if you go into our career courses, you'll see that we have career courses across all of the pathways here. And then within a pathway or cluster, you'll see that we have that broken down into numerous courses. So across the platform, we have hundreds of courses. And this is where, as LaTasha was saying, a student can go in and get some hands-on experience as someone in a career. So they could work as a landscape architect, and they will first get to know that career, and then they will create products as a landscape architect. And then, of course, take time to reflect on how they feel or felt about working through that career. Is it something that they would like to do something similar to, or would they like to go on to a different career? But again, giving them that exposure. So, and again, as you can see right here too, we have almost 500 career courses there at the high school level. So many to choose from. And we also have within the financial literacy here too, LaTasha looked closely at these courses within here and chose which ones were appropriate for, 9th, 10th, 11th, 12th grade. You'll see that we have various courses within here, saving, importance of saving, investing, but across all different areas in there as well. So, so those career courses, those financial literacy courses there. And then, of course, we have that post-secondary planning that we know is really important. That this year, they looked at 9th through 12th grade, and really exciting to work with her, this summer to work on those 7th and 8th grade courses as well. But so we do have middle school courses within there, but then you'll see here we have our post-secondary planning courses in here as well. So we chose a few of these to go into their specific course where students can make a 4-year academic plan, or they can build a high school resume, or those recommendation letters. They can work on their resumes. They can work on financial aid. So you'll see we cover a lot of different areas within here as well. So much to offer. And then now those future ready skills. And as I look to these too, it's really exciting because I know LaTasha touched on a few of these, that time management, workplace communication, and whatnot. But over the summer, we are adding to this area as well. So that's something that we're really excited about as well. And now what I'm going to do, though, is I'm going to show you what one of the courses that we created with LaTasha looks like. And that lives in this custom collections folder that LaTasha and all of her educators have on their platform. And you'll see when I go into it now, we have these custom built 9th, 10th, 11th, and 12th grade courses. And all 9th graders will have this course on their student platform. And now what you see is a compilation of all of those courses that we looked at. So you'll see that they have a unit on their career exploration and employability skills. Then you'll see we have a unit on their personal and career success, all mirroring those, ideas and themes that LaTasha wanted to see across all of these levels here. And then we have some career and post-secondary prep here as well. Then a at work prep right here too. So, and then lastly, we have a space for virtual internships. And this is where students can go in and they can do a deeper dive into a career and work on some of those employability skills as well. So you'll also see that within our 10th, 11th, and 12th grade, we chose to organize those all in a similar way across those units with those same topics as well within here. And something to mention as we looked at these courses and heard LaTasha's story. Once we put this all together, we also met with her again and made sure that what was chosen was what she wanted to see, implemented across her school there. And it's also something that we continued to check in with LaTasha on over the course of this school year too. We wanted to know, what teachers were seeing and hearing and what the students were as well to make sure that it was successful for all of them. Now, I do want to point out a few other areas within Define, but LaTasha or Andy, anything that you would like me to point out that maybe I had missed as I looked at those two areas there?
I just want to thank you, Beth. I just want to point out too that one of the things that we found a success with is the fact of one, the ease of implementation, right? The ease of user access and navigation through the defined system, because you might be wondering how can you get all of your teachers, right, who have an advisory class, because all of the students are in advisory, but that means there is a huge number of teachers that are quote unquote teaching this course. The ease of navigation, the succinct way that teachers can go into the system and see student progress, and that has been remarkable and has aided in the success of students using the platform. Their ability to be self-guided, right? That has also aided to the success. And what I also love that you mentioned, Beth, at the end of one of the courses or the end of the units when they have career exploration and a deeper dive is that student choice, right? That student choice piece. So we're developing these skills, and we got some general skills for all students and general course units and lessons that are for all, but then you also have that part where students can go in individually, right, and dive deeper into the areas that they are interested in or that their career assessment surveys kind of match them to.
And I was just going to make one comment, Beth, and thanks, LaTasha, but the students in Lancaster ISD have literally explored thousands of careers. They have literally completed hundreds of thousands of projects. And so we're getting just incredible, input, feedback as we go as well. So it has been, I imagine by the time this year ends, and we'll talk more about this, LaTasha, but there probably won't be very many sections of the site or many careers that the students have not explored yet. So very, very exciting. Beth, I'll turn it back over to you.
Great, great. Thank you, Andy. And thank you, LaTasha. And LaTasha, that reminds me too of you did a fabulous job of choosing to have all of your teachers, spend a day training to get to know the platform, which definitely helped them get ready to launch last year. And then, we at Defined are always here to support as teachers are implementing our platform. But I do want to share with all of you too, because LaTasha did mention this, that her story with Defined started with our Defined STEM, our specific PBL tasks. And when, you are in Defined, we offer those PBL tasks along with those career tasks. So there are options within your partnership with Defined to have, our Defined Learning or our Defined Careers. And because she mentioned that, I thought I may as well show you what our Defined Learning looks like. And you'll see that when I'm in Defined Learning, and those are our PBL or project-based learning tasks that are standards aligned, but do offer the students a chance to work through a PBL as someone in a career. So I'll show you that, and that I'll just go into one of our science courses. And as you saw in Defined Careers, there are hundreds of careers that students can get some experience in. But if you go into our Defined Learning and you want to address a standard in science around Earth systems, a student could work through our geologist task, and they can get some experience as a geologist and create products as a geologist that are standards aligned. So, and I didn't mention this before, our Defined Learning platform is kindergarten through 12th grade. So students can start getting this career exposure as early as kindergarten. And they will, get to know that career as they work through one of our tasks, but then just want to share with you that they have options of products to create. And again, they're standards aligned, but they work as that geologist. And they do take time, like in our career tasks, to reflect on their work, of course, as they are standards aligned, like I said, but did they enjoy, working as a geologist? Is this something that they would like to get to know more about? So that lives within our Defined Learning platform. And we also have our computer science and STEM that is also PBL tasks that are standards aligned, but they are concentrated in our computer science, and we have STEM and society and that engineering. And I also just want to mention that STEAM. I know LaTasha mentioned that earlier too. And I love the acronym they have for it as well. But you'll see that within our STEAM tasks, a student will work through a task. So here we have a NASA engineer, and they will create 5 products, one for each of those areas of STEAM as a NASA engineer. But most of all, within here too, just to note that students can start getting this career exposure as early as kindergarten. So they can begin, that career experience and that reflection really at an early age. And then too, that custom collections area, like Lancaster has done, they have those custom, courses that they have created. That's something that we can do within Defined Careers, but we can also do that within Defined Learning as well too. So we can take science tasks, math tasks, social studies tasks, and we can work along an alignment for a specific subject area or even grade level area to make sure that we have, specific math, science, social studies done at specific areas, either by standard or if you'd like to do that by career. So lots of different options within here. And same as before, LaTasha and Andy, I know I just wanted to touch on that quick overview of defined learning and that computer science. But is there anything else you'd like me to point out or show from your experience?
Go ahead, LaTasha.
No, I was just gonna say I don't have any other recommendations at this moment. That doesn't
Great,
mean
and thank you.
something might not come up though.
That's great. And actually, just to ask the question, and again, with this is a big one, but with have there been any areas that you thought the students have been particularly interested in, or is it just broad in general, or there have been any specific aspects that just have really resonated?
That's a good question. I'm gonna be honest, I haven't had the opportunity yet to really dive into our engagement data. I just know the number, right? But not the specific careers and areas. Haven't been able to dive into that just yet as we reflect over the year. I will say though that some of the feedback that I've gotten from instructors has been, hey, we need more. So I am actually working on adding some off-screen tasks for the teachers to facilitate that align with our customized courses. And also hadn't told you guys yet, but we're going to look at some of those other pieces to kind of go back and add to our customized courses because they're asking for more, which is great.
Well, that is so great to hear, and there are a number of questions that we want to get into lessons learned and so on and so forth. But I did want to ask the question because obviously in a very short abbreviated amount of time, Beth showed a lot of different things, and there is a lot of content. There's no doubt about it. We've talked about the vast all the different areas students go in. They can take assessments, they can do mock interviews, they can explore all these different careers. Maybe you wouldn't mind commenting, LaTasha, why was it important for you, for Lancaster ISD to have a customized journey like you put together in ninth, 10th, 11th, and 12th grade? Were there any specific problems or item you were trying to solve with the custom arrangement?
Absolutely. We implemented an advisory time, right? A year ago, a couple of years ago. But it wasn't tied to anything. It was time for us to meet with students as needed, provide enrichment, provide interventions, counseling guidance, SEL activities, whatever we wanted to do in that time, we had the flexibility to do it. However, in high school specifically, it was not tied to a course where there's credit being earned. And we ran into some challenges with our students, maybe not showing up or accountability challenges, with utilizing that time wisely. And so as we began to problem solve those challenges, we came across the idea of, well, let's make it a course. But then it was like, well, what courses can you make it, right? And we searched and searched. And so our courses, our customizable courses are CTE innovative courses. And so because they are CTE innovative courses, we decided, okay, we have to meet the time requirement for CTE in the state of Texas. We have to make sure that the standards of those courses are being addressed, and that's how they ended up being customized. We sent you guys the standards for those courses and said, hey, give us a course that will meet these standards, and you came through with just that. So that's kind of how it happened.
Thank you for sharing it. Okay, so we have a constantly evolving situation, with augmenting, improving things over time. Again, and Beth mentioned working with you over the summer to tweak courses to add some additional ones. So let's talk a little bit about maybe a nice segue into lessons learned. So, if you look back from the current part of the journey, in whether it's just utilizing defined careers or creating the custom courses for students, maybe you wouldn't mind commenting on some of the lessons learned. It could be from the bullets on the screen or any other lessons learned that you might like to share.
Oh my goodness. One of the lessons learned was to make sure, even though I did speak about the ease and navigation of the system, but it is about making sure that the educators are um, um, they receive the professional development right on the system, and that the expectations for the courses are clearly defined. So we did a trainer of trainer models because again, we're talking about a lot of teachers, well over 100, from grades 9 through 12. Teachers that were implementing defined customizable courses. And so we did a train of trainer models. I did run into some challenges at the beginning with the information not getting back to the teachers like it was received. And so Beth didn't talk about this, but I saw it on the screen as the academy pieces, and then your getting started pieces, and just everything that you sent to support the implementation, support the teacher's understanding. That was definitely a lesson learned that, I'm looking into how I can do a better job of that moving forward because we have teacher turnover and those types of things. Another lesson learned I would have to say is scope and sequence for the course. While the
Mhm.
modules are there, I need to give the teachers benchmarks, right? So by this time of the year, students need to have completed this much or these many modules or have gotten to this unit in the course. So a clearly defined scope and sequence is absolutely necessary for effective implementation. I think another lesson learned is just monitoring and accountability, which I think we did a really good job this year. As I was calling you guys, say, hey, send me a usage report, right? Because with it being tied to a credit class, we had, and you were saying, oh my God, I've never seen this type of engagement with our system before. And I was like, they better had, right? Because it's tied to credit, right? So we have to make sure that the modules are being completed, that the students are in the system, and that they are definitely earning this credit, and then what it looks like if the usage is low. So those are some of the major pieces that I've had to reflect on this year.
Now, and I know you're incredibly busy and you wear a lot of hats. And so this maybe you've seen directly or just heard indirectly. What has the impact been of students, their evidence, their portfolios, producing producing products? What difference has that made to just showcasing what is possible?
Oh my God, I've gone in to just kind of look, in my monitoring piece, just kind of gone in to look and see what students are uploading. And I've seen a couple that, hey, we need to tighten up on that just to be transparent and honest. But I've also seen others where I'm like, oh, yes. So not only are they uploading authentic artifacts, authentic student work, but they're also uh, gaining more experience with presentation because some of those artifacts and some of those things are requiring them to submit videos where they're presenting on their process of a particular project, presenting on their product, right? On how they created something, or how they would create something. And so when I look at those, I'm like, that is absolutely great, because presentation is another part of those skills that we're trying to develop.
Thank you so much for sharing that. It is incredibly exciting to see, just to be able to look at the student work. So that, then also just, I know you've commented on this a little bit, but just the idea of scale. So you kind of started to build this out, 9th, 10th, 11th, 12th grade. You talked about dipping down into to 7th and 8th grade. Um, maybe just to describe, what was practical about how you've grown this, and why you think you're ready to scale now.
So I would say we kind of did start off with a large implementation. We didn't start with just one or two grade levels. We started off
Hmm.
with four. We wanted to be unique in those grade levels because we wanted students to have a different experience as they matriculated right through our organization, through our educational system. And so that's why we wanted four unique designed courses. I know there's some overlap, and Beth kind of talked about some of the course content overlapping. And as you know, we get better when we see things repetitively. And so some of those things are necessary to be repetitive, necessary to repeat from course to course. But then there is also specific course content related to the individual grade level course. And again, they were guided by our state's innovative courses that we found too, right? So the standards of each course are unique in within themselves. So we kind of did start out on a large scale, but we recognize that adding seventh and eighth grade adds to, like we mentioned before, that early awareness, that early exposure, that early engagement and exploration, which we kind of already had some things in place for career and exploration, but not to this depth. And then also, to be honest, it adds to funding, right? For us, we're generating funding through innovative CTE courses. Now, we are a district of innovation, and we chose courses that our teachers, because they're already professional educators, they are able to teach, right? They are able to facilitate these courses. And so that's a point through that of consideration that other districts that want to maybe replicate this need to consider as well. We are a district of innovation, so we're able to do that. And again, we also had to think about, now I might be a math teacher, science teacher, an English teacher, a career tech ed teacher. I might be a physical education teacher. I might be a teacher of a specific course or specific subject matter that they I could foresee this is not my area, right? But when we have the discussions about career readiness and developing those skills and those academic and technical skills that we kind of talked about, and also mention our vision and mission for STEAM for All, and reminding everyone that we're all a part of this work in our particular district. It didn't just start this year. It was received better, like they understood. And you don't have to do much. That was the biggest thing for me, is because they got to do lesson plans for their subject matter, right? What we need you
Sure.
to do is implement, define, and monitor student progress, right? And facilitate activities and discussions around those projects in define. So there's not a lot of prep work for teachers. And that was huge too, because we didn't want to add to our educators' plates.
I completely understand that, and well said. So a couple of other items, LaTasha. Just, you've mentioned, going back to 2012, Texas Instruments, you're getting started with STEM, and then all the way up to where you are today. To the extent that you have, is there anything you haven't volunteered yet about? What was the biggest spark behind this evolution of where you are today?
Oh, biggest spark. Well, when we first implemented with PBLs, we were doing a phase in process where we started with a couple of grade levels, and then next year we added a couple of grade levels. Um, Unfortunately, we ran into some challenges with implementing PBLs full scale across the district. There were teacher retention challenges, turnover in our administrative, turnover on our campuses with administration, but also within our district. Within administration. That's why I say I'm fortunate, very fortunate, to still be here and a part of the work, and have been since the beginning. Those challenges, though, turned into opportunities, right? for us to evolve. So with superintendent changes, our current superintendent came in and said, "Hey, what was who was a part of that work in 2012?" And so brought me and others to the table, and we kind of said, this is what we did, this is where we were, this is kind of the hiccups we had. And then she said, well, how do we get back to that, right? How do we fix it? How do we overcome the challenges and the barriers that we ran into? And then that's kind of where we just kind of took off again from there. We never stopped, right? It just looked different. Kind of went from cross-disciplinary to maybe science and math specific classrooms, but we wanted to bring it back to cross-disciplinary where all of our students and all of our subject matter classrooms were experiencing the PBLs and that type of learning, experiential learning, if you will. And then when I just happened to have been the director of STEM when our current superintendent, Dr. Pereira, I can't say enough about her, by the way. When our current superintendent, Dr. Pereira, came, she allowed me to lead that work. But then our current technical education director retired, and then we were like, well, CTE and STEM just kind of go hand in hand. So, Miss Murry, you can do that too. So, but it was a seamless integration because our STEM initiatives from pre-K through middle school, when we get to high school, culminated into our CTE programs. So I was working really closely with the previous CTE director anyway. And so it was a natural merge, natural integration. That's just really kind of how we evolved. I think I would have to say that having someone like me that's been in the work from the beginning and kind of can speak to all of the planning, all of the implementation, all of the challenges, all of the just can have an intimate role in all of those pieces. I think that may have been able to add to our consistency and implementation through the years.
That certainly makes a lot of sense, LaTasha. Um, you've mentioned challenges, you've mentioned overcoming challenges, and are there any, if you, to the extent you haven't shared yet, perhaps, and I'll actually take us off screen share for these last couple of questions, but is there an implementation challenge that you consider your biggest one overall?
It's really the monitoring piece for us. It's the monitoring piece and just making sure,
Okay.
because this is advisory. It's 45 minutes a day. Then we still have our other STEAM specific initiatives, professional learning pieces, engagement, and career exploration through work-based learning, through partnerships, through competitions, through our career technical student organizations. Like, we still have all those pieces in place. But if we're talking about implementation of our customizable defined courses specifically, it is just the monitoring and accountability. That is, I say it's a challenge, but it's a challenge that our campus leadership and district leadership, we take on collectively, because we know the importance of this student work.
Thank you. And another question here is, did you have in mind a certain number of careers that you wanted every student to explore in any particular grade, or was it more just more time on task? But were there any specific goals you set for a number of careers for students to explore?
I smile because there were no set number of careers for them to explore. That might be something to think about moving forward. But we do have over 15 programs of study in Lancaster ISD. And then, within those different programs, there are many careers within each program. So giving the students voice and choice to not only explore the CTE program that they have already subscribed to, because by the time they reach ninth grade, they're starting their 4-year plans, right? They really have an opportunity to change at 10th grade, but in the state of Texas, our students must be completers, CTE completers. So they don't really have the option to just jump from industry to industry, right? To explore the different industries. So they have to complete the program, which usually takes 3 to 4 years. But giving them this opportunity and Define lets them explore more careers in and outside of the program of study in which they're already enrolled.
Thank you, LaTasha. And so I'm going to I'm going to have you ask you one more question, which I
Okay.
think everyone's going to appreciate, and that is for those that are either in attendance or those that registered and couldn't attend. We'll be sending a copy to. What advice do you have for other district leaders that perhaps you haven't shared already that you would like to impart your wisdom on them? What would that be?
One, board approval.
Sure.
That's one. Two, administrative support. Make sure that all leaders in the district are aligned. Clear expectations and communication and collaboration with principals, because the principals help me to, like I said a minute ago, monitor implementation. And as I mentioned before, clearly defined expectations and scope and sequence.
Well, thank you very much. And just want to thank you so much, LaTasha, for taking time out of your busy day to spend time with us here today, to spend time with the audience, and again, share your wisdom and your learnings with a wider audience. That's only going to help everyone out there. So and congratulations on all your success. Thank you for your leadership. We will certainly be, probably asking you to do this again when more learnings are taking place. But again, thanks so much, and we hope that again, everyone that's in attendance, you will receive a copy. You will also get some instructions for accessing Define. Beth, I want to thank you also for your walkthrough, and Pat for organizing the webinar. So, any other parting words, LaTasha, before we adjourn?
I just want to say thank you again for the opportunity. Thank you for the Define staff, for just being so willing and open. And I know at first it was a roller coaster ride, because I can come up with all these different ideas. It happens all the time. I remember talking to Katie, and she was like, "Well, I think we can do that. Let me take it back to my team." But you guys have been wonderful collaborators. And so I'm telling you now, I've got more ideas, so I'm coming. I'm coming back at you.
Fantastic.
I'm coming back
And,
at you.
and
But
by the
no,
way,
thank you.
you bet. I should say Katie. Today's Katie's first day back, and I know she's going to be
Yay.
reaching out very, very soon. She's
Okay.
excited to be back. So, but again, thanks to the audience. Thanks to you, LaTasha. Have an incredible day, and we'll look forward to connecting again soon.
Same to you, and thank you too, Beth. Thank you all.
Thank you. Bye.